Good afternoon, everybody. It's One Entertainment coming at you today with the top 5 most challenging races in Majora's Mask. Number 5 spot is going to be the dog races, which take place in Romani's Ranch, specifically towards the back end here and the doggy racetrack itself. This one is incredibly easy, and since there's really only 5 races total in Majora's Mask, I had to get creative with the placement, not putting it above anything else, because as long as you have the Mask of Truth, this is super easy. Just go over here to where you can find the dogs. Go through every single one of them until you find the one that says he's energized, he feels unstoppable, which is obviously going to be this one here. It's not always going to be the white one. Sometimes it's gold, sometimes it isn't. And once you find that, obviously with having the Mask of Truth on, that's how you're going to be able to read that text in the first place. Bring it over to this lady. The minimum bet is 10 rupees, but if you want the heart piece, you got to win a total of 150. So the gentleman, of course, in this video bet 50. He ended up winning 150, got the heart piece. Did it easy peasy. So that's why it's coming at the number 5 spot. I could do this with my eyes closed. Well, probably not because you have to read the text. But number 4, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the Gorman race against the Gorman brothers. I decided to place this one above the previous one because it involves more skill than luck. Obviously, not that much skill involved here, but as long as you hug the corners of the right side of the track and you make as sharp turns as possible, this isn't going to give you any trouble whatsoever. It only costs 10 rupees, and for beating the race, they're going to give you the Garo's Mask, which obviously is required to progress through the story, especially in Iconic Canyon, which we'll get to in a later video. But as you can see, again, hug the right side of the track. Even though there's obstacles to jump across, that is the fastest route, and you're going to be able to beat them in literally 30 seconds time, no problem. I think that was 30 seconds. Coming in at the number 3 spot for today's video, guys, is going to be the Beaver race, which takes place in the Waterfall Rapids against the first Beaver you encounter and his older brother. If you want the empty bottle reward, of course. Now, to participate in this, you simply need the Zora mask equipped, and you're going to be able to swim underwater. I was never the best with controlling the Zora swimming, despite it being a great mechanic, which for the most part does control quite smooth. So I struggled a little bit when I was growing up playing through this game for the first time, but since then I've gotten a hang of the swimming controls a little bit better, and the goal here is simple. Just swim through all of the rings you see here, which ironically look like life preservers from SpongeBob SquarePants, in 2 minutes, and you're gonna beat the first brother. The second brother's challenge is pretty much the same thing, but there's 25 rings you have to swim through. You have the same amount of time, but there's just more rings, so you're a little bit more pressed for time on this one, but it's still super doable. I put it at number 3 because, again, it's more tricky than the previous 2, but it isn't as hard as the other ones we have coming up. So if you manage to do this and get all the empty bottles in Majora's Mask, I salute you, and I respect you, sir. Amen. Number 2 spot, however, for today's video is going to be the Goron races, okay? Or the Goron race, should I say, because you only have to beat the race one time in order to get the gold dust, which is the reward. To beat the race, there's a couple tricks you can use. I like to personally have a running start compared to what this gentleman did here. He kind of started as far up as he could to give himself a head start when the race began. You could do either or, and again, as long as you hug the sides, the right side of the track to make as many sharp turns as possible, you're going to be good. That one's a lot trickier though because you have the NPC Goron stealing your magic pots and bashing into you. But number 1, you probably saw it coming if you played through the game. It's going to be the race against the Deku Butler. If you don't have the bunny hood, this is incredibly challenging. And what makes it difficult is the fact that you not only have to traverse areas as Deku Link, but at one point coming up here, you're going to have to take the Deku mask off, turn into Young Link, because he's the only one who could jump. In addition to that, there's also sections where you have to turn back into Deku Link, and other sections reminiscent of the treasure chest shop in East Clocktown, where if you get hit by the fire and make one wrong turn in the maze, you're set back a number of seconds, which again is very, very frustrating because the entire time you have to keep up with the Deku Butler. If you lose track of where he is, or if you don't even have the labyrinth memorized, which I'm sure 99% of the people watching this video do not, that's going to make it impossible for you. Because I obviously, the first time running through this game, had no idea where he was going. I get sent back after the first room, and I'd have to restart all over again. So this guy did a great job here. He knew his way around quite well. And the reason why I didn't want to cut anything in this segment is just to show you the magnitude of everything this race encompasses. It's easily the most challenging by far. As you can see here, you have to even use the hero's bow to shoot a switch to make sure that the fire goes away. If you don't have the bow at that point, then it's going to be impossible. But I actually take that back though, because I'm pretty sure the only point in the game you could do this is after you defeat the Woodfall Temple, and you'll already have the bow by then. But regardless though, at the end of it, the reward is going to be the Mask Ascent. A pretty shitty reward if you ask me, but still a fun race nonetheless, and the hardest in Majora's Mask. Let me know what you thought of this video, guys, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.